about to come. Please settle in. Thank you.
seated, and please put your phones on mute if not already. We'll be starting shortly. Thank you.
स्टार्टअप का ये कल्चर देश के दूर दराज तक पहुंचे, इसके लिए 16 जनवरी को नेशनल स्टार्टअप डे के रूप में मनाने का फैसला भी किया।
A resilient nation is only built when billions of dreams across every corner of the nation are nurtured. When every idea and aspiration gets wings to fly. When everyone plays a role in building one of the most promising economies of the world. Startup India was founded 7 years back in 2016 by our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi and propel it towards becoming one of the largest innovation ecosystem in the world. Today, India is one of the fastest growing startup ecosystems in the world. We are adding highest number of startups every day in the world. From 8 unicorns in 2016 to 108 unicorns today, we have emerged as the world's third largest unicorn nation. All of this has been possible through the impact of over 54 regulatory reforms that Startup India has brought about since 2016 to increase the ease of doing business, ease of raising investments and reduce compliance burden.
When government takes the responsibility of something, it takes proper care that it reaches every nook and corner of the country. So Startup India has been playing and will be playing a major role in the growth story of our country. And very soon, India will not only be seen as the largest consumer market, but also as the largest producer market of the world.
From 4 state policies in 2016, today we have 31 states and UTs with dedicated startup policies, spreading the reach of entrepreneurship to 663 districts.
I believe it's a great success for Startup India mission, and we have seen like people coming from different background and financial situation. All these schemes made the dream get closer to the reality, and it's been a great journey with Startup India.
We have grown immensely from 446 to 87,000 plus DPIIT recognized startups across 56 industries, employing over 8.48 lakh people.
Last 7 years have seen an exponential growth in the number of startups and in the different kind of startups that are coming out in India. This is all possible due to the last 7 years journey of Startup India thinking about policies in a wholesome manner.
Various initiatives by Startup India have enabled this momentous growth, including National Startup Awards, States Startup Ranking Framework, Seed Fund Scheme and the Government E-Marketplace or GEM.
Startup India has actually created a very good systems and processes for adoption of such technologies into government ecosystem. That's really helped us tremendously. And the platforms like GEM, the government e-marketplace, they have specific areas where startups can sell their product to government ecosystems.
This incredible journey spanning over 7 years has transformed India through its zeal for entrepreneurship and innovation. This is only the beginning of our journey to a more innovative and inclusive idea. A nation of not just job seekers, but also job creators. Start innovations, start dreams, start aspirations, start hope, start opportunities, start possibilities, start the future. Startup India.
Good morning, everyone. I, Astha Grover, Head Startup India, would like to thank you all for your presence this beautiful morning. Honorable Minister for Commerce and Industry, Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution and Textiles, Shri Piyush Goyal ji, Honorable Minister of State for Commerce and Industry, Shri Som Prakash ji, Joint Secretary, DPIIT, Srimati Shruti Singh ji, all National Startup Advisory Council members, jury, startups, entrepreneurs, incubators, accelerators, and our friends from the media. It is a pleasure to welcome all our esteemed guests who have joined us today to declare the results for the National Startup Awards 2022. Today, 16th of January, also marks the 7th year anniversary for Startup India as we celebrate the National Startup Day. I would now like to invite Joint Secretary DPIIT, Srimati Shruti Singh ji, for her welcome remarks.
Thank you, Astha. Very good morning, Honorable Minister Shri Piyush Goyal ji, Honorable MOS, Shri Som Prakash ji, and all the esteemed dignitaries here today along with my media friends. First of all, I would want to extend my heartfelt wishes to you on the occasion of the National Startup Day. This day is dedicated to each one of you, all the startups who are present here, all the ecosystem enablers across the country. It's thanks to you that India today has become the third largest startup ecosystem in the world. The National Startup Awards were launched in 2020 with a vision, with an objective to recognize, to reward startups that were doing well not just on the commercial levels, but also the ones that were making a measurable social impact, that were creating frugal innovation in order to solve problems unique to India. This is the third edition of the National Startup Awards. And I'm sure all of you must be very excited today to know the results of this grueling journey that you've been through over the last few months, having gone through multiple rounds of evaluation, having pitched before the jury that consisted of players from the ecosystem, both private and government. Here I would also want to share some interesting statistics about this edition of the National Startup Awards. Out of the 2,600 all applications that we received, around half were from Tier 2, Tier 3 cities. Out of the finalists that were selected out of the total applications, 120 odd finalists, again almost half belong to these emerging cities. This goes to show that innovation is brimming across the nook and corner of the country. We have startups from Pauri Gadwal, we have startups from Nasik, Maharashtra here today, we have a startup from Ernakulam in Kerala. This just shows that every state, every UT is represented truly in the spirit of what this National Startup Awards were launched with. Our result declaration ceremony here today does not just end with announcing the names of the winners and handing them checks out. No. The beauty of the National Startup Awards is this, that we give out hand-holding support to the finalists, to the winners across the entire year. There are 7 pillars around which we've been supporting our previous winners, and this year too we'll be handing out a lot of a bouquet of opportunities so that you can derive the maximum benefit out of the awards. We give you investor connect opportunities, we give you opportunities to connect with the best mentors in the country. In the past, the winners of the National Startup Awards have also got an opportunity to interact with and give policy suggestions to none other than the Honorable Prime Minister of India. Doordarshan had launched a Startup Champions, just dedicated to the awardees of our National Startup Awards. Without much ado, I would just once again welcome you all to the result declaration ceremony today and wish you all the best, and I hope you make the best out of the opportunities that lie ahead of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am, for setting the context and highlighting the policies taken by the Government of India to fuel the entrepreneurship ecosystem in India. We had introduced MARC, a platform for mentorship, advisory, assistance, resilience, and growth. MARC is envisioned to facilitate mentorship between startups and mentors across stages, functions, and sectors. With over 600 mentors and 800 startups that have been onboarded so far, let the mentorship journey begin. With this, I now request Mr. Manoj Kohli, Member, National Startup Advisory Council, to share his vision on the MARC platform.
First, I'd like to wish happy anniversary for Startup, 7th Startup Day, which is fantastic. It looks like yesterday that this journey started, and now we are 7-year-old, and I can feel the power of the journey in this room itself. Very good morning to Honorable Minister of Commerce and Industry, Shri Piyush Goyal ji, Honorable Minister of State, Som Prakash ji, Shruti ji, who is leading this mission of startup very, very enthusiastically, Mr. Sachin Dhania, Astha, and the STAR team of Startup India. This team has been doing a great job in this country. I personally have been blessed to be part of this revolution in the last about 10 years, and I believe that this privilege I've got to help create the 3rd largest startup revolution in the world, and I'm sure in the next few years this will not be 3rd largest, we'll go to 2nd and we'll go to 1st in few years. And it's so important that not only we have created startups, we've also created more than 100 unicorns. And again, you will see many more unicorns being created. And I believe that after 91, which is the liberalization of Indian economy, this is the biggest economic revolution of India. And this revolution will not only democratize the industry, but also bring in a lot of youth into entrepreneurship as well as professional challenges. Here, I also believe that the National Startup Advisory Council, in the first meeting itself under chairmanship of Piyush ji, we thought about the success rate of startups. And we felt that the success rate is not too high, not as high as we expected to be. And one of the gaps we found was the gap of mentorship or coaching not being available. The right kind of domain experts who were not available to the entrepreneurs, and entrepreneurs not being able to take right decisions because of non-availability of the right advice, the right expertise, etc., etc. And that's where we felt that MARC, which is the mentorship portal, should be thought about, and now the great day has come when we are launching this portal for the entire nation. Let me tell you the key features of the portal. First and foremost, it is not only English. It is Hindi, Telugu, Kannada, Malayalam, Tamil, Gujarati, Marathi, Bengali, Assamese, Oriya, Punjabi, etc. So many, 12 languages which it's starting with, which actually is extremely good because we are noticing that majority of the startups, are coming from small and medium towns and even villages. Majority of the founders are coming from these small towns, and hence it's very important to go vernacular. The other key features which we have thought about and have implemented are the AI and machine learning capability to match the founders with the right experts, with the right mentors. That matching process is a very, very important process so that the founders get to the right people for advice and get to the right advice hence. Also, we have initiated a very good conferencing ability, not only audio, video calls you can make on the portal, have meetings are calendarized. So it's a very good assistance to any founder, young founder, who is kind of lost, who is not able to understand where he or she should go to find a solution to his or her problem. So I believe that this portal will really guide these young entrepreneurs to a great advice and hence great decision making. Also, we are recognizing the mentors who contribute time, attention, their expertise with the young entrepreneurs. We are also recognizing them through inviting them for many meetings by Startup India. We are also helping them network with each other. We are also planning to issue letters of appreciation. We are also putting them as showcase on the website of Startup India, as well as we will be issuing special badges for them based on their contribution. So I believe that mentors have to be recognized so that more and more mentors, not only from India, but also from West Coast, where there are a lot of Indian senior entrepreneurs, senior advisors who are going to participate in this. At the end, I want to wish everyone once again a very good anniversary for the Startup Day. I will like to invite all the stakeholders for registering themselves as fast as possible as either founders or mentors on this great portal. I would like to request Honorable Minister of Commerce and Industry, Piyush Ji, to please play the Startup Mentorship film, MARG film, as well as launch the MARG portal. Thank you.
सफर चाहे जिंदगी का हो या आपके स्टार्टअप का, एक सही दिशा और एक सही सलाह आपको रखता है मुश्किलों से एक कदम आगे। इसी विश्वास के साथ आगे बढ़ते हुए स्टार्टअप इंडिया पेश करता है मार्ग, a one-stop mentorship platform that facilitates mentorship across sectors, stages, and functions. Now, startups can find the best suitable mentor through artificial intelligence on Marg for getting guidance on scaling their business, solving complex business challenges, and availing topic-specific assistance. If you're looking to take your startup a notch above, register for Marg for expert guidance by following these steps. Visit Marg portal, register your DPIIT recognized startup, create a mentorship request basis your needs, select a mentor from the list provided by AI matching your requirement, fix slot as per availability and discuss with your mentors, set personalized goals and update the progress on Marg. Prepare for success by tapping into the pool of right mentors for your startup. Register now.
Thank you, Honorable Minister, for declaring the MARG platform open. Today, we also introduce to you the Startup India Investor Connect, a platform where Indian startups will be able to access various fundraising avenues in India and across the globe. It will use the power of artificial intelligence to match startups with all the funding stakeholders, be it angel investors, venture capitals, private equity players, among other stakeholders. I now request Rajan Anandan, Member, National Startup Advisory Council, to share his vision on the Startup India Investor Connect platform.
Thank you, Astha. Good morning, everyone. Honorable Minister, Shri Piyush Goyal, Honorable Minister Om Prakash, Shri Shruti Singh, founders, investors, mentors. It's wonderful to see all of you here. Let me start by congratulating Startup India for completing 7 years. I don't know how many of you remember 2014. Actually, fortunately, usually, Minister, when I speak to an audience like this, I'll say something and I realize that half of them weren't born. But 2014 actually wasn't too long ago. Actually, in the year 2014, there were less than 7 unicorns in India. The very first unicorn in India was in 2011. There was a company called InMobi. And today, as all of you know, we have well north of 120 unicorns. And I think when Startup India was launched 7 years ago, I don't know the exact number, but we were certainly less than 15 unicorns. So we've seen an explosive growth in startups, in innovation in India. I'm actually going to spend 2 minutes talking about the Investor Connect portal. But before I do that, I do want to, since we have a large number of you here who are building companies, highlight one very important fact. Actually, maybe 2 facts. The first fact is the 2 most profitable startups in India never raised a paisa of external capital. This is very important because a lot of founders come to us now. Of course, this is weird for me to say because now I'm actually a venture capitalist, which is a business of actually investing money in startups. The 2 most profitable startups in India have never raised a paisa of capital. That is Zerodha, which is a SaaS company, which is a brokerage, right? Nitin Kamat's brokerage, and Zoho, which is a SaaS company. And you'll hear from Sanjeev Bikhchandani, in a little while here. One of the most exciting, if arguably the pioneer of the Indian internet and the startup ecosystem, actually raised very little capital. I have Sanjeev come and talk to our Sequoia founders, and they're always amazed by how little capital InfoEdge raised before they went public, right? So I think the first thing that all of you should keep in mind is many of you will embark on, some of you I'm sure have already embarked on trying to raise capital. As Sanjeev would say more eloquently than anybody else, the best form of capital is your customers' money. So if you can get customers to pay for your products, that's absolutely fantastic. Now that being said, the reality is many of you will actually raise capital. And as part of the National Startup Advisory Council, the chairman of SIDBI, who unfortunately couldn't join us today, Mr. Raman and myself, we've been working on a specific topic around how to enable access to seed capital to many more startups, right? The reality is today, although India has well north of 100 startups, and even amongst the funding winter, India in the year 2022 had over $24 billion of startup funding as a nation. By the way, that is 2 lakh crores. So I don't know on which planet one would call 2 lakh crores a winter, but that's called, in India we call it winter, which is fine. It's still a lot of money, by the way, 2 lakh crores going into startups. But the reality is, in India today, less than 2% of all startup funding goes into what we call seed funding, right? Companies that raise less than 5 crores. And in a country where we have now over 84,000 startups, that's clearly grossly inadequate. So we all felt that we need to make it easier for startups to be able to connect with investors, and we also need to make it easier for investors to connect with startups. And that really is where this idea of creating or building a investor startup connect, a portal that can connect investors to startups actually came about. The other interesting finding that we had, thanks to the KPMG team, is if you look at the funding that is available from government at the center across ministries, but also across all states, today, publicly committed, there is over 15,000 crores of funding from various sources of government funding, right? That includes, and that does not include, by the way, the 15,000 crores does not include the 10,000 crore funder funds, but only 15% of that has been invested into startups, and a large a large challenge again there is just discovery, right? How do startups, in fact, until KPMG did this work, even I didn't know that there was 15,000 crores. So how do startups actually connect with, the various agencies, governments, ministries, corpuses of funding? So that's really where this idea came from. Over the last 6 months or so, DPIIT, the DPIIT team has been working very closely with the team at SIDBI to build what we think is going to be a really, really very interesting online platform. And the simple problem that we're trying to solve is, for all of you who are building companies, how can we make it easier for you to connect with investors who may be interested in your business? Because today the reality is, you have to find the investors who are interested, you have to then write to them one-on-one and then hope you get a response. We are going to, as you'll see the platform in a couple of months when we launch it, today you'll see a preview of it. What we want to do is, you sort of outline, you put a description of the kind of company that you're trying to build, what industry, what size, how much capital you're trying to raise, and then we make it, the platform will make it much easier for you to then identify the set of investors, and then with one click you'll be able to reach out to them, and then they'll be able to reach out to you. So that's for the startups. Similarly, for investors, we want to make it easier for investors to discover the companies that are of interest to them. The reality is, when you have 84,000 startups in India, it's not easy for any firm or any investor to identify the kind of companies that are interesting to them. Just take Agritech. Agritech, there are over 1,000 startups in India today, right? It's very difficult for an investor to try to find and filter and sort the kind of agri-tech startups that might be interesting to them. So that's the simple objective that we've set out to achieve with this portal. As I said, we've done a lot of work on this thanks to the DPIIT team and the SIDBI team. Last week we actually demoed the platform minister to secretary, and we got a lot of feedback from him. Ms. Shruti and others have also, Shri Shruti and others have also seen this platform. And what we'd like to do is share a short video so you all get a glimpse of what this is, and you should expect that the platform will be launched over the next several months. We want to make sure that when we launch it, everything works. So that's what we're working on right now. Thank you. Let's run the video, please.
With the aim to support startups in India in their fundraising journey, we are introducing Startup India Investor Connect. Startup India Investor Connect is a centralized platform that connects startups across the country with investors with the precision of artificial intelligence that understands you, your sector, your industry, and a data-driven matchmaking algorithm that matches you to investors. This national platform for the startup ecosystem brings together startups and investors across the country. It is the shortest distance to global visibility, with venture capitalists, private equities, investors, corporate venture capitalists, and government funds. The best platform for you to be on, where every idea is sure to meet its worth. The gateway to realizing the limitless potential of ideas starts here, starts now. Join those who are shaping the future with one idea, one investment at a time.
Thank you, Rajan. The first edition of the National Startup Awards was launched in 2020. Each year, we provide the winners and the finalists of the awards with dedicated hand-holding support that helps them accelerate their journey. This support that helps startup with the next step is made possible thanks to the exceptional support of our partners. As we culminate the hand-holding support for the winners and finalists of National Startup Awards 2021, we are ready to welcome the incoming cohort of National Startup Awards 2022. We will now play a short video that demonstrates the journey of the prestigious National Startup Awards over the last 3 editions.
Startup is not just about starting a business. It is also about sustaining and supporting it to make lives better and contribute to building a nation. From the world's most ancient civilization to a nation that is a torchbearer to the future, it has been the vision of Prime Minister Narendra Modi to nurture and recognize the rising entrepreneurs in India.
भारत का स्टार्टअप इकोसिस्टम आज दुनिया में अपना परचम लहरा रहा है। ये भारत के स्टार्टअप इकोसिस्टम की ताकत है, वो पैशन से, सिंसियरिटी से और इंटीग्रिटी से भरा हुआ है।
To unleash India's immense entrepreneurial potential through startups, Startup India was born in 2016. As a part of Startup India initiative, the National Startup Awards was launched by DPIIT in 2020 to encourage and reward outstanding startups and ecosystem enablers in India. In its first 2 editions, National Startup Awards empowered 367 finalists by handholding them across various pillars of support. With its 3rd edition, the National Startup Awards 2022 has set out on a mission to bring forth some of the most promising startups from India, which are breaking boundaries.
So in our case, being a winner in the space category was actually, really helpful for us specifically. Now I think, even when investors look at it, we can go and say, hey, even the government is actually recognizing startups in the space sector. That's why there is even a separate category for space.
The shortlisted startups receive exclusive opportunities to pitch their innovative ideas to some of the top investors.
Winning the National Startup Award, you get a fair amount of visibility in the ecosystem. There's a lot of press releases and sort of social media campaigns that kind of got run where our companies saw the benefit of increasing sort of inbound interest.
As a part of NSA's hand-holding journey, the NSA winners also received coveted mentorship sessions with industry leaders that broadened their horizons.
If I talk of specific thing, the team building session has given me strategies to grow my team, and at present we have our own R&D center and a good talented team.
A few of them propelled themselves to unprecedented levels and emerged as unicorns which are making India proud. With an inclusive, future-focused vision, has expanded its reach to every corner of India as 2,604 startups, 55 incubators and 7 accelerators applied for the coveted opportunity from across 13 states and UTs.
I urge you to take maximum out of these hand-holding sessions which NSA will be providing you.
So the opportunity here would be to make best use of it.
So keeping that in mind, realizing that there is a lot more responsibility right now. So yeah, with that note, all the best to all of you.
Join us in celebrating the new batch of National Startup Awardees who, with their brilliant new innovations, technologies and disruptions, will etch the foundations of India 2.0. Welcome to a showcase of the makers of a new India. Welcome to National Startup Awards 2022, empowering entrepreneurs, the future of India.
The hand-holding support provided to the startups has been instrumental in helping them navigate newer avenues of growth. A pivotal role in this journey is also played by our jury members who leverage their industry experience and knowledge in recommending the winners and finalists of the National Startup Awards. We would now like to welcome Mr. Sanjeev Bikhchandani, co-founder of Infomedge, who has been instrumental in shaping the Indian startup story and has also been a jury member for all the editions of the National Startup Awards.
Thank you, Astha. Thank you. Mr. Piyush Goyal ji, Om Prakash ji, Shruti ji. Thank you so much for inviting me here. I'll just say 3 or 4 very general things. I won't talk about the jury process and things. So I think the first and most important thing to understand is why startups are important and why do we make such a big deal of startups. So I graduated from college in 1984 and I began to work in industry, my first job. And if I look back to 1984, the business landscape, industry landscape in India was very different from what it is today. when you compare these 2 points, you'll say it's a revolution, but the truth is it is evolution and not revolution. Every year, every 5 years, things would happen which would make life different in business in India. But when I look back to 38 years ago, 39 years ago, and I say, okay, where did the buzz come from, the growth come from, the investment come into, where did employment grow? And actually, I jot down those things. Maybe 90% of those companies and industries did not exist or barely existed in 1984. So IT services barely existed. IT-enabled services did not exist. Internet did not exist. Mobile telephony did not exist. Mobile apps did not exist. Private sector insurance did not exist. Private sector banks existed, but as a very small legacy form. The big private sector banks had not come in. Private sector airlines did not exist. So you look at where growth has come from, it's come from new industries, new companies. Right? And a very large number of these companies are started by first generation entrepreneurs. Some are diversification of large business groups, large companies, but very many are first generation entrepreneurs. Right? And therefore, if you look at HCL and Infosys, giant companies today, they were startups when I began my career. So the giant companies of tomorrow are very often the startups of today. And therefore, when you encourage startups, you are hopefully articulating a 20, 30-year vision of creating giant companies and giant organizations. Right? And that's why startups are important. Now, this is the first government, and I'd like to commend this government, this is the first government to have actually recognized this and put startup center stage. Through Startup India, through DPIIT's focus, right? Through the National Startup Awards, and through the fund of funds for startups. Right? So I think a real solid program for encouraging startups did not exist before this government, and for that this government must be commended. The other point to note is that when I was beginning my career, the word entrepreneurship for me as an economics graduate was just a factor of production. Right? We said business, company. We did not use the word entrepreneurship. Right? And if you wanted to start a business, chances are you were from a certain caste, a certain community, or you were an entrepreneur by inheritance very often. First generation entrepreneurs, educated by choice, was not the norm. Right? And that has been one big difference between the 80s and now. That middle class India is very happy to let its youngsters become first generation entrepreneurs of choice by taking a risk, by pursuing their dreams, their ideas, and making capital available, most importantly. Because it was basically access to capital or lack of it that led entrepreneurship to be confined to a certain sector of society only. And I think that's one big difference. And while this has been happening over the decades, I think a huge acceleration has happened in the last 8 years, or last 7 years since Startup India began. And for that too, we must commend Startup India. So all the folks at DPIIT, all the folks in the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, all the folks who were at DPIIT earlier but have been transferred out, but worked in it in the last 7 years, they must all be commended. We lost Mr. Mahapatra 2 years ago. Right? So this is an effort of a large number of people. Yeah? Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bikhchandani, for your kind words and encouragement. As we inch closer to announcing the results of the National Startup Awards, it is imperative to understand how this initiative has helped startups attain greater heights. With this, I now invite Ms. Gauri Malviya from Tinkerbell, winner of the previous edition of the National Startup Awards, to share her startup journey post-winning the award.
Good morning, Honorable Ministers and the Joint Secretary, and the respected members of the audience. First of all, on behalf of Thinkable Labs family, I would like to thank Startup India for inviting us for today's event to celebrate the 7 glorious years of this initiative. It is such a great coincidence that Startup India was launched in 2016, the same year when Thinkable Labs started their official journey. We won the National Startup Award in 2021. This recognition, appreciation, and the motivation helped us move ahead and beyond. Our Made in India product, Annie, is the world's first braille literacy device for children with visual impairment, which helps them learn how to read, write, and type in braille through lessons, games, and poetry. Annie is named after Helen Keller's teacher, Anne Sullivan, but children say that Annie is not only their teacher, but also their friend and companion. Annie solves 2 problems. First being that we live in a world where braille literacy is less than 10%. Second, the extreme shortage of braille proficient teachers, whereas the requirement for extensive hand-holding and constant supervision. We are happy to announce that we are now in more than 60 plus connected centers across the country with 500 plus Annies in India. We will officially launch Polly, the US brand name of Annie, in the United States from this academic year. Startup India, thank you for recognizing us, for giving us an opportunity to be featured in a special story by Doordarshan. We were also part of the Startup Champion 2.0 series. We were delighted when we were invited as one of the 75 innovative startups in India for the 75-year celebration of independence. Very recently, we won the MIT Solve Challenge, an initiative by the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. So we are now a Solver team as well. And very recently, we were recognized by the Time magazine as Best Innovations of 2022 in the accessibility category. And as I mentioned before, from this academic year to the next 3 years, every child across 50 states of United States of America will learn Braille on a Made in India product, Polly. Throughout all these achievements from 2021 till now, Startup India has been by our side throughout. So thank you. At the end, I would like to say thank you again to Startup India for all the support and guidance. And I hope and wish, and the whole Thinkable Lab family feels the same, that this relation continues for many years to come. And to end this up, I would just say that we would love to talk to each one of you to get guidance and support for the journey ahead. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gauri, for sharing your journey, and we wish you all the best on the way forward as well. I now invite Mr. Pavan Kumar from Skyroot Aerospace, winner of the first edition of the National Startup Award, to share his journey with us post-winning the awards.
Honorable Ministers, Secretary, fellow startups, all guests here, very good morning to all of you. In fact, my name is Pavan. I'm a co-founder of a space tech startup called Skyroot Aerospace. And inspired by Startup India movement, me and Bharat, we started Skyroot in 2018. And at that time, people said, you'll not be able to launch rockets from India. In fact, that's what we were set out to do. We wanted to build the finest space launch vehicles from India for the world. And then they said, you know, you will not be able to raise capital because you need hundreds and hundreds of crores to build rockets in India. You'll not be able to get the high-tech talent in the country, which is very much required to excel in this sector, you know, et cetera, but still, we went ahead and built. And in 2020, in fact, when we started off in 2018, there was no policy as such, you know, for launching, you know, rockets in India. But still, we started off in 2018, and within 2 years, the government announced space reforms, allowing private sector to build their own launch vehicles, satellites, and launch to space. And also in the same year, the first edition of National Startup Award started, and we applied, and we were lucky, you know, to get selected. And in fact, that was a great recognition for all of us. And then that boosted the confidence, and it gave us validation wherever we went, whether it is investors, whether it is government officials, whether it is trade affairs, everything. You know, it gave us a lot of validation for us to move ahead, and gave our team a lot of confidence and boosted our spirit to achieve more for the country. And 2 years since then, you know, in October 2020, we won the National Startup Award. And 2 years from there, you know, we have raised over 500 crores of capital. In fact, people said a space startup or an aerospace startup would not be able to raise growth capital, but we were able to achieve it. And our team grew 3 times to over 200 people. And on November 18th, 2022, we created history by launching India's first privately built rocket to space. And also, in fact, very interesting thing is we became one of the rarest companies in the world to succeed in a rocket launch to space in the first attempt. And in fact, when Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, in his recent Mann Ki Baat, he said the launch has proved that sky is no limit for Indian youth and Indian startups. And in fact, the name of the mission, in fact, you have seen on the screen as well in the introductory video, we named it Mission Prarambh because it is a new era for the space tech industry in India. In fact, that name Prarambh was inspired from 5 years event which happened for Startup India, which was named Prarambh itself. In fact, I picked that particular word from that event where we had the opportunity to speak with the Prime Minister Modi ji. And in fact, like he gave us great wishes for the launch. And in fact, that was the inspiration for the name Prarambh, which became quite popular after the launch. And in fact, I believe the National Startup Awards symbolizes 3 things. Number 1 is equality. You have categories from space to drinking water, you know, and several other categories. And also, it's a symbol of quality, where the highest standard of jury judges the startups. In fact, like we were judged by the chairman of ISRO himself, you know, in the space tech category. In fact, it brings together the best in the industry to judge, which is high levels of, you know, standards of judgment, which ever in any kind of startups across 15 sectors, which is very, very rare. And it also stands for innovation, because beyond awards, you know, Startup India has pushed, you know, to collaborate with, for example, Doordarshan, the Startup Champion Show. We were part of the first Startup Champion Show on Doordarshan, which reached nook and corner of the country. And also, like a lot of investor interactions, you know, that kind of innovation exists with the Startup India team. And in fact, I believe National Startup Awards is beyond awards now. It's a celebration of entrepreneurship in the country as we march towards becoming world's largest startup ecosystem. Thank you. All the best to all the nominees. Thank you.
Thank you, Pawan, for sharing your journey with us. We hope you continue to fly high. The startup culture in India is expanding its wings with the promising growth supported by the various initiatives and schemes of the Government of India. It is with this support that the innovation and entrepreneurship spirit is fueled across the length and breadth of the country. I would now like to welcome the Honorable Minister of State for Commerce and Industry, Shri Som Prakash ji, to share his thoughts.
Honorable Minister of Commerce and Industry, Shri Piyush Goyal ji, Shrimati Shruti Singh ji, Joint Secretary, member of the jury, and participants, it's my pleasure to be here with you for the celebration of innovation. Startup India scheme was launched by Prime Minister of India on this date, 16th of January 2016. विजन वाज हिंदुस्तान में कोई ऐसी जगह ना हो, ऐसा ब्लॉक ना हो जहां कोई स्टार्टअप ना शुरू हो. Carrying forward this vision of the Honorable Prime Minister, I am proud to share that we have more than 88,000 recognized state startups in India today, and India has the third largest ecosystem in the world. There is at least one recognized startup in every state and union territory. भारत के 666 जिलों में स्टार्टअप चल रहे हैं और 100 से ज़्यादा यूनिकॉर्न्स स्टार्टअप बन चुके हैं. ये हमें प्राइड की बात है. ये स्टार्टअप्स एक बड़े शहरों में नहीं, 45% जो रिकॉग्नाइज्ड स्टार्टअप्स हैं वो टीयर 2, टीयर 3 सिटीज़ में हैं. जब स्टार्टअप स्कीम 2016 में शुरू हुई थी तब सिर्फ 6 स्टेट्स में स्टार्टअप पॉलिसी थी. अब 31 स्टेट्स में यूनियन टेरिटरी में स्टार्टअप पॉलिसी बनी हुई है और स्टार्टअप्स बहुत तेज़ी से काम कर रहे हैं. भारत सरकार की तरफ से स्टार्टअप्स को बहुत सारे इनकरेजमेंट करने के लिए, कंप्लायंस बर्डन को कम करने के लिए बहुत सारा काम किया गया है. इसलिए सिंप्लीफाइंग करने के लिए, रैशनलाइजेशन के लिए, डिजिटाइजेशन के लिए और डीक्रिमिनलाइजेशन के लिए बहुत सारा काम हो रहा है. और इंटेलेक्चुअल प्रॉपर्टी राइट्स की इंटेलेक्चुअल पॉलिसी को चेंज करने के बाद नई पॉलिसी के अधीन स्टार्टअप्स की रिकग्निशन का काम बहुत तेज़ी से हो रहा है. पेटेंट एग्जामिनेशन के लिए जहां पहले 72 मंथ्स लगते थे, अब 5 से 23 मंथ में ये काम पूरा हो जाता है. सिमिलरली ट्रेडमार्क रजिस्ट्रेशन में पहले 13 मंथ्स लगते थे, अब 30 डेज में ये काम हो रहा है. भारत सरकार की ओर से ये कोशिश है कि बहुत तेज़ी से इन स्टार्टअप्स की हेल्प की जाए. मैं बताने में मुझे खुशी है कि 4 साल में 1.16 मिलियन ट्रेडमार्क्स रजिस्टर हुए हैं, जब पहले 75 ईयर्स में 1.1 मिलियन रजिस्टर हुए थे. बहुत तेज़ी से ये काम हो रहा है. और स्टार्टअप्स की हेल्प करने के लिए फंड्स ऑफ फंड स्कीम जो भारत सरकार ने शुरू की गई है, ये सिडबी की मदद से चल रही है. अल्टरनेटिव इन्वेस्टमेंट फंड जो इसके लिए हेल्प करते हैं, कुछ 14,000 करोड़ इसके लिए कमिट हो चुका है. ये बहुत खुशी की बात है. इसी तरह सीड फंड स्कीम भारत सरकार ने शुरू की है और इसके साथ ही जो क्रेडिट गारंटी स्कीम है वो भी शुरू की गई है ताकि स्टार्टअप तेज़ी से काम कर सकें. यंग एंटरप्रेन्योर्स जो काम कर रहे हैं वो उनके पास टैलेंट भी है, उनके पास नॉलेज भी है, उनकी हेल्प करने का मकसद है वो तेज़ी से काम करके अच्छा कुछ कर सके. आज के जो यंग एंटरप्रेन्योर है वो तरक्की करके और फ्यूचर में बड़े इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट बन सके, इसके लिए हम काम कर रहे हैं और बहुत अच्छे रिजल्ट हमारे पास आए हैं. इस साल 2000 से ज़्यादा लोगों ने इसमें पार्टिसिपेट किया है. मैं अपनी तरफ से उन सभी को बहुत बहुत मुबारकबाद देता हूँ. डिफरेंट कैटेगरी 44 कैटेगरीज में स्टार्टअप्स की में आज अवार्ड दिए जा रहे हैं. इनक्यूबेटर को भी और एस्केलेटर भी इसमें हिस्सा ले रहे हैं, उनको भी अवार्ड मिल रहे हैं. जिनको अवार्ड मिल रहे हैं मेरी तरफ से उनको बहुत बहुत मुबारकबाद. और मैं आज के दिन सभी को मुबारकबाद देता हूँ. आज स्टार्टअप्स डे है, इस दिन की सभी को मुबारकबाद. मैं आशा करता हूँ कि आने वाले समय में स्टार्टअप बहुत तेज़ी से काम करेंगे. देश की तरक्की में, देश की उन्नति में स्टार्टअप्स का बहुत बड़ा नाम होगा. प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र भाई मोदी जी का जो सपना है कि स्टार्टअप्स बहुत देश की तरक्की में हिस्सा लें, उनके कंट्रीब्यूट करें, वो तेज़ी से पूरा होगा. आज के दिन की बहुत जो विनर्स हैं उनको बहुत बहुत मुबारकबाद. धन्यवाद, जय हिंद।
Thank you, sir, for your valuable insights and kind words. In each edition, we launch a digital report of the National Startup Awards. The report captures the details of the winners, application diversity, handholding efforts, and the impact. It also acknowledges the handholding support provided by the partners and jury members. It also acknowledges all the leading incubators and accelerators across the country. The National Startup Award 2022 report captures the rigorous evaluation methodology which has presented to us the winners that will be announced shortly. We hope this report provides and showcases the best of the Indian innovations coming from all of India, along with the efforts of leading incubators and accelerators. I would now like to request the Honorable Minister of Commerce and Industry, along with other dignitaries on the dais, to launch the digital report for the National Startup Awards 2022. Thank you, sir. Finally, the time we have all been waiting for is here. We will now begin with the felicitation of all the outstanding startups and ecosystem enablers who have built innovative products and solutions demonstrating measurable social impact. I now invite my colleagues, Ms. Pallavi Gupta and Ms. Oishika Ghosh, to take us through the winners.
Thank you, Astha. Good afternoon, everyone. I, Oishika Ghosh,
and I, Pallavi Gupta, Startup India, will now announce the results of the coveted National Startup Awards. This year, we have divided all participating startups into 17 sectors, 50 subsectors and 7 special categories, followed by incubators and accelerators in the ecosystem enablers. The first sector is agriculture, in which we have received applications from 217 startups in India. And the winners are Fruvitech Private Limited. Fruvitech works in the field of post-harvest. The startup offers fruits and vegetable storage system with technology that guarantees energy-efficient, high-quality storage solutions adjustable to your specific needs and conditions. The next startup is Natura Crop Care. Natura operates in the field of productivity and has established ultra-precise microbial fermentation technology with a pharma-grade production system. Their promising products help farmers around the globe control diseases and pests, improving plant immunity. The next startup is Volcus Technology Solutions. Volcus operates in the field of productivity. The startup, under the brand name Fasal, develops an AI-powered IoT platform for precision agriculture. It offers a cloud platform that collects the microclimatic data captured by the on-field sensors.
Our next sector is animal husbandry, for which we received applications from 33 startups across the country. The winner is Hydrogreen Solutions Private Limited. Hydrogreens, which works in the field of productivity, has come up with a unique model of fodder as a service. Through this unique service-based model, the startup sells the fodder directly to farmers through Hydrogreen's fodder station.
The next sector we have is construction, where we received applications from 80 startups. The winners are Himalayan Hemp Industries, which works in the field of construction materials, manufacturing products using Himalayan hemps, and providing consulting on farming, business, and startups. The next winner is MyCorp Private Limited. MyCorp Technologies provides 3D printing technology that has been developed in-house. It has successfully demonstrated this in modular and rapid construction strategies.
Education and skill development, where we received 319 applications across the country. The startups being awarded in this sector are Trestel Labs Private Limited. Trestel works in the field of access to institutional education. They empower the blind and visually impaired community towards inclusive education and employment by enabling them to listen, translate, digitize, and audio tape any kind of content. The next winner is Testbook Edu Solutions Private Limited. Testbook, in the field of access to open education, has built an app and web-based platform to support job seekers. Testbook platform has 5 key components: job discovery, live interactive coaching, mock practice, doubt solving, and performance tracking. The next award goes to Maker and Me Technologies Private Limited. Maker and Me, which is operating in the field of toys as a learning resource, provides a complete STEM solution for students and teachers. The vision of the company is to empower creators with innovative tools to bring their dream creations into reality. The next winner is Trascender Services Private Limited. Trascender, a startup in the field of vocational training, offers services like Explorium, Campus to Corporate, Aspire Leadership Program, and Crucible Leadership Program in the education sector, and Paramedic Skills Program in healthcare and data analytics.
Our next sector is energy, where we received applications from 133 startups. The winners are Log9 Materials Scientific Private Limited. Log9, a startup in the field of clean energy, is a vertically integrated startup with proven in-house capability for material development. The next startup is RenCube Private Limited. RenCube operates in the field of energy efficiency. The startup's machine learning-based remote monitoring solution offers continuous monitoring of solar power generation along with module failure prediction, cleaning schedule reminders, and power aberrations. Indigenous Energy Storage Technologies Private Limited is the next winner. Indie Energy, a startup in the area of energy storage, is developing sodium-ion batteries using locally available bio-wastes. Their batteries deliver 3 to 4 times more energy density and cyclability than currently commercialized lead-acid batteries at similar costs.
Next, we have Enterprise Technology, where 279 applications were received from across India. The winners are Next SCM Solutions Private Limited. Operating in the field of business process management, Next SCM's product, InCref, is an algorithm-driven retail SaaS company solving complex inventory management and supply chain challenges. The next winner is Stylumia Intelligence Technology Private Limited. Stylumia works in the area of business process management and is an artificial intelligence-driven fashion analytics tool for the apparel industry. The company enables product decision makers with actionable consumer demand using artificial intelligence. Our next award goes to Kurover Private Limited. Kurover, a startup in customer relation management, is a human-centric conversational AI platform that powers multi-format, multilingual, and omni-channel virtual assistants. The startup is on a mission to enable users to talk to any system they want in the way they talk to an intelligent person.
Our next sector is environment, where we received applications from 221 startups across India. The winners are Hygienity Solutions Private Limited. Hygienity operates in the area of sanitation and septic tank management, and its nano coating keeps toilet surfaces clean and hygienic for a long time, protecting the environment by reducing the use of aggressive chemicals. The next startup is KB Calls Science Private Limited. KB Calls, in the field of sustainable industrial solutions, produces biocolors that are natural, sustainable, and reproducible in shade, paving a new era in fashion technology, personal care, food, feed, and many more. The next startup is Infinita Biotech. Infinita, which works in the field of waste to wealth, has developed a wide range of eco-friendly products for many industrial segments, which motivates the end users to switch to these products while providing equivalent results when compared to conventional solutions.
Our next sector is FinTech, which recorded applications from 135 startups across the country. The winners are World FinTech Solutions. Whirl is a blockchain fintech startup in the financial inclusion area which is revolutionizing the post-harvest ecosystem through its integrated blockchain platform, providing warehousing, warehouse receipt finance, and marketplace facilities to farmers. The next startup being awarded is ChangeR Technologies Private Limited. ChangeR, operating in the domain of financial inclusion, is a platform that promotes micro savings starting from as little as ₹1. It detects digital spends from a phone which are not in round figures and rounds it off to the nearest 10 to invest in digital gold. The next startup being awarded is MicroInsure Consultancy Private Limited. MicroInsure is a technology-led insurance solution provider whose business model combines three essential aspects of the microinsurance supply chain. The startup's in-house proprietary technology helps their customers and partners to manage the processes efficiently and effectively.
Our next sector is health and wellness, which received applications from 442 startups across the country. The winners are Medulance Healthcare Private Limited, working in the field of access to healthcare. It is India's first and leading comprehensive emergency response service provider, extensively dealing in ambulatory services. The next winner is Mallipatra Nutraceutical Private Limited. Mallipatra, a startup in the field of Ayush, manufactures cordyceps mushrooms, which are the world's costliest and endangered mushrooms with medicinal properties. The next startup is Prante Solutions. Prante, a startup in the field of diagnostics, develops inventive and innovative products to enable the decentralization of early diagnostics to achieve a healthy India and a healthy world. The next startup being awarded is Algorithmic Biologics Private Limited. The startup operates in the field of life sciences and provides cloud-delivered service to diagnostic labs that increase their efficiency by a factor of 20 without any additional capex, and a 90% reduction in operating cost, effort, and analysis time per sample. The next startup is JC OrthoHeal Private Limited. OrthoHeal, a startup in the field of medical devices, has come up with a novel orthopedic immobilizer that can solve problems associated with conventional casts. FlexiOH, the first of its type, solves three main issues associated with conventional casts, including breathability, washability, and weight. The next startup is YourDose Health Solutions. YourDose, operating in the field of mental well-being, offers an online counseling and emotional support platform designed to foster mental wellness. It anonymously connects the concerned person with the right expert from its panel, consisting of psychologists, psychotherapists, counselors, life coaches, and career coaches.
Our next sector is Industry 4.0, which received applications from 201 startups across the country. The startups being awarded are Amaze Solutions Private Limited. Amaze Solutions, a 3D printing startup, is an end-to-end metal AM solutions provider. Amaze is one of the first in the country to launch its own indigenously developed 3D printing machine based on powder bed fusion technology. The next startup being awarded is SandLogic Technologies. SandLogic, a computer vision startup, provides a web-based interface that's easy to adopt and scale on any kind of web browser. It uses a state-of-art scalable architecture as a backbone, which enables customers to go from a minimum of 1 camera to 1,000 cameras at one go. The next award goes to IROF Technologies. IROF, operating in the field of robotics, is a marine robotics company providing safe and efficient solutions for critical underwater infrastructure inspections. The next startup is Lab2Market Innovations Private Limited. Lab2Market, operating in the field of Internet of Things, has developed the fiber Bragg rating sensing technology. Most of its innovations are directed towards digital rail revolutions. The next startup being awarded is Linkit Solutions. Linkit is a technology product company operating in the field of Internet of Things and providing end-to-end supply chain management solutions through its proprietary products. The company utilizes leading technologies to track, digitize, automate, and analyze different processes of the supply chain.
Let's keep the applause going as we welcome the next sector, media and entertainment, which has received applications from 73 startups. The two winners are Quidditch Innovation Labs. which is a startup in leading broadcast technology operating in the field of production and post-production, bringing cutting-edge innovations to live sports. The next startup being awarded is Filmboard Movie Technologies. Filmboard, operating in the field of production and post-production, is an e-commerce platform that enables producers and filmmakers to book any film-related talent, crew, services, and locations in a few easy steps.
Next up, we have the security sector, which received 81 applications across the country. The winners are Atom Alloys India. Atom, a startup in the field of security and safety systems, offers ready-made products and specialized protection solutions that can be custom designed and implemented within industrial systems. The next startup being awarded is QNU Labs Private Limited. QNU Labs, a cybersecurity startup, leverages laws of quantum physics to transform cryptography. It provides quantum-safe and quantum-resistant data encryption and secure key generation.
The next sector we have is space, which received applications from 24 startups. The winner in this sector is Digantara Research and Technologies Private Limited. Digantara, a spacecraft technology startup, offers the world's first in-situ active orbital surveillance platform using a constellation of high-resolution nanosatellites to detect, track, and predict resident space objects in low Earth orbit.
Our next sector is transport, which received applications from 103 startups across the country. The startups being awarded in this sector are Kogos Technologies. Kogos, a freight and logistics services startup, provides the shippers a platform to plan, schedule, and assign the required fleet for city deliveries. The next startup being awarded is Revamp Moto. Revamp Moto, operating in the field of transport services and infrastructure, is an EV startup focused on mobility solutions for micro-entrepreneurs. With this, we conclude the announcement of winners across the sectors. We will now be announcing our special category award winners. Our entrepreneurs who have been working on making the ecosystem more inclusive with their far-reaching impact.
Our first special category is Women-led Startup, and the winner is Algorithmic Biologics Private Limited. Algorithmic Biologics is a deep tech startup bringing artificial intelligence in molecular testing. The applications of the product are next-generation sequencing, research, food tasting, COVID-19 testing, newborn screening, and NAT testing.
The next special category is Impact in Rural Areas. The winner is Natura Crop Care. Natura's products are serving farmers across the globe in plant soil health management and plant nutrition management. The startup is working directly with more than 50,000 smallholder farmers and conducting demonstrations of its innovations across India.
The next special category is startups from Northeast and hilly states and UTs, and the winner is Primary Health Tech Private Limited from Assam. The startup is a rapidly growing with a vision to develop next generation healthcare predictive diagnostics, which is affordable and accessible to the masses. The company has innovated MobiLab, which is an affordable portable IoT enabled platform with multi-diagnostic device and chronic diseases. We congratulate all the startup winners who have done exceptional entrepreneurial work to solve key economic and societal challenges and have impacted the lives of the people. We will now be recognizing the startup ecosystem enablers.
We received 55 applications in the incubator category, and for the very first time, we have 2 incubators as winners. The winners are T-Hub Foundation. T-Hub Foundation, based out of Hyderabad, strives to create an impact for startups and ecosystem stakeholders with a mission to enable and empower innovation. The incubator has provided over 2,000 Indian and international startups with various facets of support. The next incubator being awarded is CCAMP, Center for Cellular and Molecular Platforms. CCAMP is an initiative supported by the Department of Biotechnology with a mandate to enable novel life sciences research and innovation. The incubator has created and fostered a culture of innovation in the academic and research environment.
Our last category for today is the Top Accelerator Award, and the winner is Cisco Launchpad. Cisco is a B2B corporate accelerator program that propels deep tech startups working in disruptive technologies. The goal is to create an exciting environment where high potential startups can share, discover, network, develop new skills, and get inspired to reach the next level. We express our heartiest congratulations to all our winners and the best of journey ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Pallavi and Oishika, for announcing the winners. Congratulations once again to all. This National Startup Day, we commemorate these achievements and recognitions. It is a great honor now to invite Honorable Minister for Commerce and Industry, Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution and Textiles, Shri Piyush Goyal ji, to share the keynote address with all of us.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Honorable Minister of State for Commerce and Industry, Shri Som Prakash ji, Srimati Shruti Singh, Joint Secretary, all the esteemed members of the National Startup Advisory Council, all the esteemed members of the jury. I'd particularly like to recognize our three very senior colleagues from the startup ecosystem who have always stood like a rock in all the activities that we have been trying to do. Mr. Sanjeev Bikhchandani, Mr. Manoj Kohli, Mr. Rajan Anandan, all the other distinguished winners of the Startup Awards 2022, all the members from different startups who have joined us this evening, exhibitors, friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, a very, very big congratulations to all the award winners who have been recognized for their fantastic work today. Congratulations. Of course, a day of celebration, a day which I hope will hold you in good stead as you progress in your journey in this new idea that you have seeded, that you are going to expand, hopefully across oceans. But also a day which will, I hope, encourage every one of those who were shortlisted and every one of those who even applied for the awards. I would like to give a big round of applause and congratulations to everybody who applied. And I think the fact that you had the confidence to put in your papers, send in your application itself makes you a winner, makes you deserving of accolades. Because you had the confidence, you had the courage of conviction to believe in yourself, to believe that you are capable. And awards is always very difficult. Somebody mentioned earlier today, I think one of the two participants, the gentleman from Skyroot Aerospace, and I just noted his words, I was lucky to get selected. I disagree with you. I don't think you were lucky to get selected because I know the hard work that the jury puts in. And I know the amount of painstaking effort that goes into selecting each one of the winners. So clearly you are not lucky, but you are slightly better than the rest. And I'm sure it's always a difficult task selecting a few out of the many applicants. But I must commend the jury for the outstanding work that they do, the number of long hours that they put in, and for their selection of very good ideas, very good innovators who truly deserve today's award. I would also like to compliment all the exhibitors, some very innovative ideas we saw today, and I have no doubt in my mind that across the country, in the remotest parts of the country, and I believe there are over 650 districts today, where these 88,000 startups are housed. We have almost half of them with at least one woman co-founder or director. The fact that this idea has got seeded across the length and breadth of India is itself a success of startup thinking. And if I may venture to suggest, I have often found Prime Minister Modi as one of the best incubators of ideas and one of the best persons to come up with innovative ideas to address the many challenges that we as a nation also face. I was listening to some of the award winners and about their work and what they have done. And I thought about the number of new initiatives that have been seeded over the last few years, which have had a huge impact on the India story. We are entering into the Amrit Kal. In that sense, 2023 is a very, very important year. We've completed 75 years of independence, a day when we reflect on, a period when we reflect on a lot of achievements of the country. But as we enter into Amrit Kal, we'll need to have out-of-the-box ideas. We'll need to really see how we can progress much faster than ever before to meet the growing aspirations of a young India. And in that, if I see the number of initiatives and the timeliness of those initiatives over the last few years, I recognize that Prime Minister Modi has worked to creating the foundation, the building blocks of a resurgent India, of a powerful India, of an India that gets recognized throughout the world today as the emerging growth story, as the country which will power economic growth across the world. If you look back, and many times we forget because a lot of things we almost take for granted. I can't imagine the startup ecosystem becoming so successful unless Digital India had been launched in 2015. Now, in the typical government way of working, one would think of a program, one would plan it, one would take years to kind of provide the funding for it. Then we would say, okay, we'll go to 1,000 villages, then we'll expand that to 10,000, talk of going to 50 cities and towns, and in an incremental way, take this idea forward. Prime Minister Modi thinks of the entire country and is always focused on speed, skill and scale in execution of projects. When he visualized Digital India, he recognized that unless we take it to the remotest corners of the country, we won't be able to truly get equitable development throughout the country. And can any of us imagine, without the Digital India mission launched in 2015, without this rapid spread of 4G throughout the country, and now with the launch of 5G on 1st October, we'll truly get into the most modern systems available anywhere in the world. The fact that we have been able to take broadband through digital fiber across the country, and probably another year or so, every village panchayat will have broadband connectivity through optic fiber. Now, without this building block, can we imagine an ecosystem that develops so much on, that depends so much on technology? Could we have had a startup ecosystem in the remote parts of the country so that even when I go to Banaras and I invite all the local startups, there's a room full of young boys and girls at the Banaras Hindu University? And that is the strength or the power of an idea when taken to speed and taken to the remotest parts of the country. It engages the whole country with that idea. In 2016, when Prime Minister Modi launched the Startup India mission, as Mr. Anandan was mentioning, who had imagined that we'll become the third largest ecosystem in the world for startups? And in the government, who could have imagined ideas like CoWIN, ideas like One Nation, One Ration Card, ideas like PM Gati Shakti National Infrastructure Master Plan? Who could have thought of UPI powering so many startups and now so many unicorns? We are currently working on the open network for digital commerce, which will similarly, just like the Unified Payment Interface, help us in democratizing e-commerce across the length and breadth of India, saving probably millions of mom and pop stores or small retailers from becoming extinct, as they have in the more developed nations, where you rarely find a small corner store or a small retailer, even in local neighborhoods. The Jan Dhan Aadhaar Mobile Trinity, the JAM Trinity, was such a powerful idea that today lakhs of crores of rupees go to our more deserving people, the poor, the less privileged, the underprivileged, through their bank account, through the JAM Trinity, through direct benefit transfer, ensuring honesty, integrity and transparency in the entire system. And therefore I feel very often that the government itself today thinks like a startup. Prime Minister Modi keeps giving us a lot of encouragement to focus on newer ideas and then saturate them throughout the country. After all, when we look at startups, we are basically looking at ideas, new ways of working, which will impact people. Innovative way of working, which will improve the efficiency or effectiveness of whatever each one of us is doing. Newer ideas which can help improve the integrity or transparency of our processes, our procedures, our way of living, our way of working, improve productivity. And in each one of your ideas, many of whom have got awards today, many of whom have got awards in earlier years, but many of whom may not have got the award as yet, and maybe just a razor-thin margin, a mark or two here or there, and you were not able to come into the final category. But it doesn't take away from the power of your idea, from the power of your thinking, from the impact that your idea will have on the nation. And therefore, this entrepreneurship that each one of you is demonstrating, that each one of you is seeding, that is coming up from all across the country, different parts of the country, encourages me to suggest that India has today arrived on the global stage when we talk of startups or the startup ecosystem. A lot of good ideas which many of you have been recognized for, a lot of new ideas that each one of you must be thinking in your mind that might be on the way, will help us as we want to move towards becoming a developed nation. And it's important that we leapfrog, and technology can be a great enabler to leapfrog into the new age, so that we can actually get the fruits of these developments and help 1.4 billion people across the country have a better quality of life, ease of living, help entrepreneurs of businesses across the country, small or big, in their ease of doing business, hopefully bring back some of the ideas that germinated or originated in India but are today being used in other parts of the world. We need to bring back that ecosystem into the country also. And some of the ideas are so powerful, so impactful, that they could actually change the very way we live, the very way the ecosystem works in India. One of the exhibitors outside today was mentioning that they are looking for people for jobs. And every month they have a vacancy list which keeps growing, but they are not able to get people. And they said, all the time we are hearing this story about joblessness. Our own experience, it's outside, maybe on the way out I would urge you to spend some time on the exhibitors outside and encourage them. And the young lady mentioned that we actually are not able to get people. And that, I think, is where each one of us can play an important role. I'm sure the Mark portal will help us in refining and fine-tuning our own ideas. Actually, Manoj, I would love to be a part on the Mark portal also. I don't know if I would qualify, but I would really love to spend some time, because I think it will help me also evolve and understand what is happening in young boys and girls' minds today. Even your portal on the investor portal, I think it has very good possibilities, the Investor Connect portal that you are in the process of finalizing. I hope it can be ready very soon, and the big advantage of that is that very often I'm concerned that people in remote areas with ideas, whether they are getting equal opportunity to also raise funding for their ideas or to demonstrate their thoughts. So I think this portal will do a lot of service, will help us reach out to many deserving startups who may not otherwise be able to come in contact with the funding ecosystem. I think one of the major areas of focus for us in government has been simplification for people engagement with government. I don't know if you recall, right from day one, Prime Minister Modi removed the process of notarizing documents. I think many of the young kids here may not remember it, you've never had to face that. But some of us in this room have all our life been looking for the nearest notary to certify our own existence, certify that I am who I am. And it was a ridiculous situation. You were looking for a person who doesn't know you at all. You take a document to him, he just signs, puts a rubber stamp, and that rubber stamp had a value. But unnecessary botheration for the common man. It's a simple idea. Today it sounds very easy to have done it, very easy to have implemented it. But I remember the amount of resistance when the Prime Minister Modi first mooted this idea. Oh, people will misuse, people will give fake documents, people will not come up with the actual reality. But I don't think over the years we face any difficulty of that sort. I don't think over the years, there could be one or two isolated incidents, but by and large, I don't think anybody has misused this confidence, this trust in the common man that Prime Minister Modi is always encouraging us to grow and believe in. And I would urge some of you in this room, if you can pen down your thoughts with your experience, as you've worked your way up, worked your way through your startup, your business idea, your entrepreneurial journey, what are the areas where you found any difficulty? Some of us in this room, Sanjeev, Manoj, can really help us in a big way in this. What are the areas where you can suggest that instead of process A, why doesn't the government follow process B, which is simpler, less confrontational, or less, let's say, complicated or costly, and which will meet the same objectives. I would urge each one of you, help us to help you and other entrepreneurs like you. Please send in a note, maybe the startup group could write an email to all the registered startups across the country and ask them to suggest to us what more we can decriminalize, what more we can reduce in terms of compliance burden. While we have tried our level best, we've reduced the compliance burden, in many cases eliminated it, in over 39,000 areas across state and center. But we would love to hear more from you, because I'm sure there are many more areas where we can eliminate the burden of process on all of you. In fact, another thought that came to my mind as I was listening to other speakers was, can we have a robust database of all the startups in the country? Som Prakash ji just asked me a question on the stage. What is the hit rate or success rate of the startups? We've been hearing different numbers at different forums. Possibly the success rate of startups becoming unicorns or startups making it very big may be less. But I won't be surprised if there are many startups which in their own way have been successful but not really recognized or captured in any database as success. Some moderately, some in a big way. It would be different levels of success. So maybe we need to have a good startup database. Maybe that database needs to have good keywords. Ideally just a one-pager on the startup with contact details so that people can actually use keywords, get to the kind of startups that they want. It will help us in government procurement, for example. If I have to procure a particular thing, why should I also not look at startup ecosystem or database and quickly try and locate some of you who could help me in the service that I want? So let's try to go for a database. Let's try and capture more and more of our innovators' ideas in a crisp, brief manner, and then make that available to the public and to businesses at large, so that we can then get other industry associations and business houses also to see how they can be engaged with the startup ecosystem. We on our part have of course tried to help the system through a number of funds, through innovators, through the Atal Tinkering Labs, but would certainly love to hear more from all of you. How we can do more, how we can do better. This is a listening government. This is a government that wants to promote and propagate the future of India along with each one of you, collectively. You know, Prime Minister Modi often saying, if the nation takes one step forward, each one of us takes one step forward, the nation takes that many steps forward. So if 1.4 billion Indians were to take one step forward, imagine what an impact it would have on the world with 1.4 billion steps going forward. And towards that end, I think the work that all of you have done is truly commendable. The work that the government ecosystem to support startups has been doing has been hopefully supporting you and hand-holding your efforts. But all of us collectively are willing to do more, are willing to engage more with each one of you and see how your innovative ideas can really come to fruition, can start impacting the future of India, can start helping the common man, whether he's a farmer, whether he's a dairy producer, whether he's a small shopkeeper, whether he's a MSME unit. Everybody stands to benefit with your making life easier, simpler, cutting down the cost of processes, making them more efficient. As Steve Jobs said, and I quote, innovation is an ability to see change as opportunity and not a threat. I think all of you very well recognize that the innovation that you are doing is going to help India becoming a better place to live in, a better future for every Indian in this country. Once again, my congratulations to all the award winners. Congratulations to all those who were shortlisted, all those who applied. Keep the fire going, keep the enthusiasm on. It's the fire in your belly. It's your desire to achieve big things. It's your self-confidence, which is very, very highly encouraging to each one of us. May God bless all of you. May the year 2023 be a great year. All the very best.
Thank you so much, Honorable Minister, for setting an entrepreneurial vision and showcasing, highlighting, inspiring us with so many examples, highlighting how India itself is an enterprising nation. You are the source of all our energy, sir, and with your attention to detail, instructions, coupled with views from the private stakeholders and confidence posed in the team, we get all the real strength to do this all for the ecosystem. I would now like to invite our Deputy Secretary, DPIIT, Shri Sachin Dhania, to administer the vote of thanks and to lead the conclusion of the National Startup Awards 2022.
Honorable distinct dignitaries on the dais, esteemed members from the startup ecosystem, friends from media, and ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to thank Honorable Minister of Commerce and Industry, Shri Piyush Goyal ji, for his inspiring words and motivating us throughout the entire tenure and guiding us to take various measures to support the startup ecosystem. Sir, your valuable suggestions regarding setting up the database and other such initiatives have been duly being noted, and they will definitely going to inspire and help the startup ecosystem in moving more ahead on this thing and transforming the India into an economic, you can say, backbone of the country. I would like to also thank and express our gratitude to Honorable Minister of State, Shri Som Prakash ji, for being an inspiration again and also being supporting in all our endeavors that we have been taken for the startup ecosystem. Today we have been joined with some very esteemed dignitaries from the startup ecosystem, for instance like Sanjeev Bikhchandani ji, Manoj Kohli ji, Rajan Anandan ji, who have been part of our ecosystem, have been helping the government into listening to the aspirations and needs of the startup stakeholders and helping us to in developing various, you can say, programs and taking efforts to ensure that the fire that has been ignited by our Honorable Prime Minister of the entrepreneurial spirit across the country goes to its desirable state. I would also request, we are also grateful to all the members and especially the jury members and the team that has been involved into the finalizing of the National Startup Award, because through their expertise, they have been able to help us get some of the finest startups who have been able to win the coveted National Startup Award. Thank you all for that part. And coming to the winners and especially the finalists also for this National Startup Award 2022. Now it's just not just you have become the winner of this thing, you have got an added responsibility. That responsibility is in terms of being an aspiration for all those who are looking at you for all the ideas. You are indirectly have become their mentor for them. It's like it's like a Margdarsha for them. You will be guiding them. You will be helping them through your efforts, through your entrepreneur journey, guiding them also to become more, you can say, grow in their journey and inspiring and developing further innovative ideas and solutions to address the various gaps which are there if there are in the country. Towards the end, I will also like to, you can thank my team which has been working tirelessly on you can say smooth execution of this entire program, which includes the Startup India team, my division, and also all the other related members who have been helping us on this thing. Lastly, all of you who are present here, thank you for your presence today, and we are honored by your being present over here. Thank you so much, all of you.
Thank you, everyone. We encourage you all to see the showcase of startups outside and find collaboration opportunities. We also do have lunch served in the Nilgiri Hall. Congratulations once again. Thank you.